That would be great. Okay, thank you so much for that, Sarah. And I love that Brent already knows how the chat works, but of course, we're going to talk a little bit more about that because we're getting ready to get right into today's training, which is Train the Trainer Part 2. Well, you already have introduced yourselves in the chat, and if you haven't had an opportunity to do that yet, please do. Just let us know where you're from, maybe the city and state that you're representing, the school that you're representing. Go ahead and put that in the chat so we can know a little bit more about you, but we also want to introduce ourselves so that you can know a little bit more about us. Hello, everyone. My name is India Williams, and I'm one of the professional development educators here with PBIS Rewards. This is year 25 plus in education. I liked working a lot with the younger students. I also enjoyed being a home ec teacher as well as a diversity director. Yet I have to say that the most exciting and rewarding time in my life has been this chapter with PBIS Rewards. And one of the things that's made it so wonderful is my amazing partner, Anna Michaels.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Anna Michaels, and Indy and I have the same position at PBIS Rewards. She's in Indiana and I am in Texas, but we love seeing so many familiar faces out there today. And we're so happy that you're here for this installation today with PBIS Rewards of Train the Trainer 2, really taking that deeper dive into some of those features that we have. So we are ready to kick it off with you and see what we can help with.
Absolutely. And so, you know, being the PBIS experts that you all are, you know how important it is to go over the expectations before we get into the learning. And so today we just want to, you know, just be respectful, be responsible, and be safe. We have listed here several ways that you can do that. Just by muting your microphone when you're not speaking, being open to new ideas, being focused on today's training in several ways, such as making sure this is the content that's up on your screen, silencing all your other devices, making sure if you want to take notes, you've got that pen, you've got that paper, as well as being willing to share the air when it comes to ideas and questions and comments. We also want to keep you engaged today. So feel free to put your camera on, feel free to unmute to ask a question, and also feel free to use the nonverbal feedback icons by clicking on the reactions button. So if you love something, put that heart. If you agree with something, put that thumbs up. If you have a question, you can press the raise hand button, but feel free to stay engaged today. And probably if we don't share anything else about our expectations, this is the one we want you to know. Please do not be afraid to ask questions. And we don't want you to wait to the end of today's training to ask those questions. We want you to feel free to put those questions or concerns or wonderings right into the chat throughout today's session, okay? So please don't wait until the end. Just go ahead and put those questions in just like Brent did earlier. Put them in the chat and we or someone else that's in today's session will go ahead and answer that question or, you know, address any concern or wondering that you might have. So whatever you call it, the parking lot, the discussion board, go ahead and park it in that Zoom chat throughout today's session. And we also want to go over today's agenda with you. Now, I would love to know, I think Anna would too, just by turning on your camera and raising your hand, or you can use that, you know, reactions button we talked about before to raise your hand. How many of you were able to come to a live session of our Train the Trainer Part 1, or you watched a recording of the Train the Trainer Part 1? Was anybody able to do that? Okay, there's several hands up. That's great. All right.
Awesome.
That's great. Well, then you kind of know how today is going to go, except we're going to have some different content. All right. So in Train the Trainer 1, we talked about how do you log in? How do you redeem points? How do you reward points? As well as how can you message back and forth with your staff and also with parents. So today's content is going to be looking at student access, how, what are some new things going on with redeeming, how to do SEL checks. We're also going to look in Checkin Checkout, and we're going to look at reports and data, okay? And just like we trained the Trainer 1, we are going to give you the PowerPoint that we use today as a template that you can do later when you're training your staff, okay? So we're going to give you all of that, and then we're going to actually use that PowerPoint to do today's training. So you know exactly how you can use it when you're also training your staff later. Once we get done with the big chunk of today's training, and we're going to take about an hour and a half today when you say Anna, about an hour and a half. But then we also want to make sure that towards the end, we give you some support information, tell you about some other professional development opportunities that are coming up. We're going to give you a personal invitation to our Facebook user group, as well as give you an opportunity to do a survey to let us know some things that we could do to make this training better. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually get right into the exact PowerPoint we're going to give you that you can use as a template to be able to do this training for your staff. So today we're going to kind of go through it fast. We're going to go through it deep. We're going to go through everything, okay? And we're going to use the actual template that you will be given after today's training. We're also recording today's training. So the template, the recording, all of those things will be sent to you if you did register for the session later on. But we do suggest that even though we're doing the entire template today, please don't do the entire template with your staff at one time. Break it up into chunks, and we'll give you some suggestions of what chunks to break it up into so that your staff is not overwhelmed. But we know that you're a trainer, so you can handle it today. So we're going to actually go through this whole template that we'll be giving you at a later date.
Okay, so this is really where the template is going to start here, and we will give you a link to this, and it will be in Google Slides so that you can easily download it and then personalize it to the exact needs for your school or your district and really make it work for you. So of course, when you're getting started, you always want to make sure to introduce yourself to everybody, and so this slide gives you a space to do that. Just making sure that everybody knows who you are, and just a way to connect with you as well and make those personal connections. So I'm putting a picture of yourself or your Bitmoji if you have those. I know they're so super popular right now. And then just a fun fact about you. So that's a great way to kick it off. And just like we started our trainings, also filling in this part, which would be your expectations for your trainings. And if you're doing it just for your school, then you would tie it back to those expectations that you have at your school. If you're doing, let's say PRIDE is your acronym that you use, then you would relate it to that. And that really helps to set the tone for your expectations for the training. And then if you're training virtually, you might need to make adjustments to this. Because we know obviously it's a little bit different when you're working through Zoom, but this does give you a way to align it to your school matrix and really make sure that you're doing that as well. We always love to give an agenda out to everybody so they kind of know the path that you're on. Some teachers are real, like I am one of those, a real task-oriented kind of person, and I love crossing things off of my to-do list. In fact, I have it right here next to me. So India knows that's kind of my daily stress relief, is crossing those things off. And so this is a great way for those staff members to know this is where we're going, and also to kind of break this up into chunks. And that will definitely be our recommendation, not to do this all at one time because it's too deep and there's just too many fine details in there and too many clicks to remember how to get from one place to another. So really keep that in mind as you're making those decisions.
Okay, so the first section in the template is about student access, okay? And like we said, we're going to reiterate this over and over, you know, break this up into sections. So maybe one of your staff meetings, maybe in a PLC, you just focus on how to give your students access to the student app and the student web portal, okay? So let's go ahead and look at how you do that. So the first thing we're going to suggest, and this is all included in that template we're going to give you, this is what the template looks like. You can make any changes or customization you need to. But the first thing is 2 links are in the notes section of this slide, 2 videos that you can show your students to let them know what PBIS Rewards is. So when you're rolling it out to your students, you might want to show one of these videos. There's one link in the notes that's going to tell you, going to give a video that's more for students who are younger, so kindergarten through 6th grade. And then there's another video that's for the older students, grade 7th through 12th. So, definitely show it to your staff, definitely, give them access to it so that they can show it to the students so they can just have an overall idea of what PBIS Rewards is. So this is great to do before you actually start doing any of that, rewarding and redeeming so the students really know what's going on. Then you'll want to also be able to know yourself as well as show others on your staff how you can give students authorized access into the PBIS Rewards system, okay? So there's two levels of access. There's a basic level where students basically just can either, their badge can be scanned for the app, or they can put in their initials and then their student ID number to get that basic level access with the web portal. Yet, if you want students to be able to do student purchasing from the app or the web portal, or if you want them to see more details beyond like what's their balances and just basic stuff, then you definitely want to give them authorized access. And the way that that is done is basically staff can give them access codes, parents can as well. And you can do those access codes from both the staff web portal and the staff app. But let's look a little bit more into those different ways that the students can log in for that authorized access. So like I said with the previous slide, teachers can create those authorization codes to give the students. They can do it in the web portal for the staff or the app. Also, students can log in using ClassLink or Clever. And with that, you don't need that additional authorization code. And then we also have it where students can authorize themselves from the web portal for them to be able to use the student app. Now, within your school settings, you can also decide if you want to allow the students to be able to log into the web portal with their Google account. And if your students are staying with one-on-one devices, we do suggest that you let them know to stay logged in. If they click that button, then they don't have to keep getting an authorization code over and over. They'll stay logged in. And then parents can also create authorization codes for their own students using the parent app. And so we put a little note here just for you to remember that this particular slide, you want to put whatever information you want your school to use for your students to log in. So make sure to customize this to whatever your school feels is the best way for your students to log in. All right, the other thing that you do want to make your staff aware of are student badges. And the great thing is that, yes, if you want us here at PBIS Rewards to create badges for you for a small fee per student, per badge, we can do that for you. We can even throw in lanyards for an additional fee. But we also want you to know that you can create your own badges for free. Yes, for free within the web portal. So we want to make sure that you know how to do that as well as your staff knows how to do that. And it's as simple as just clicking on ID badges from the main menu. And then you've got 7 different Avery styles that you can choose from to print the student information on, as well as several different layouts that you can choose for your particular school. And so you just have a lot of just freedom as far as being able to create those badges. The great thing is we also have where the students can now have a digital badge. So the students within their app, they can log into their app and then they can click on digital badge and boom, there's one right there from their device. So you don't have to worry about that badge being lost, the dog ate it, and the kindergarten chewed it up. You don't have to worry about it. You can actually have them pull up a digital badge through the student app. And with that information though, we want to make sure that you encourage your staff to think outside of that traditional plastic badge. They are great, particularly when you are face-to-face in a brick and mortar setting. But when you are digital, it's especially important to really encourage your staff to think outside of that plastic badge. And so we have a couple of ways that schools have been using the create your own ID badge function. Some schools, what they're doing is they're just printing them on labels and putting them on the computers. Okay, so if they are brick and mortar, they can just come through the class with the staff app and then just boom, make it rain points as they come around and just scan the QR codes that are on a sticker on the back of the student's computer or their iPad, whatever device that they use. We've also seen schools printing those ID badges off onto stickers and putting them right on the agenda book or right on the students' folders so that when they're turning their work in, you don't have to wait later to put a little smiley face on it. You can, boom, give them some points for that right there by scanning that QR code that's been put onto the agenda book. Another way is if you are brick and mortar, we have a lot of schools that are just putting those ID stickers that they've printed off themselves where the students sit. So once again, while students are following all the expectations, they can take the app and just, once again, acknowledge the students with points by walking around the room and scanning those QR codes. Now, we also have within the system where you can create a PDF that has all of the QR codes for an entire class or an entire group of students right there. You can print off that PDF, you can put it right outside of your classroom, and then other teachers, other staff members can come around and acknowledge your students with points. You can also use that same PDF right there next to you while you are teaching virtually. You can, while you're teaching and instructing in your Zoom room or your Google Meet classroom, you can then also be scanning with your other device, all of those QR codes for those students, acknowledging them with points while they are learning. So we want to make sure that you're comfortable with being able to create those badges and think outside the badge. And we definitely want you to show your staff how to do it as well. So with all that scanning, we also want to make sure that you know about the option for student purchasing. A lot of schools just find it, best to just let the teachers handle redeeming the students' points. Other schools, particularly middle schools and high school, they really like the option of allowing the students to purchase their own items by using the student app or using the student web portal. But in order for them to do that, we already said that it's got to be that authorized level of access. So they've got to have that authorization code, or they have to, go in through Clever or ClassLink. But you got to make sure student purchasing is turned on first. So we want to make sure that you know how to do that, and that you can also show other staff members who have the settings privileges to be able to know how to do that too. So you basically are going to click on settings in the main menu, then you click on options, and then you're going to go to the section that says student purchasing, and then just click where it says allow student purchases. And the great thing is that you can decide, do we want them to be able to just purchase store items, or just, do raffle entries from the app or web portal, or just do events, or you can say, we want them to be able to do all three. You can also put don't allow student purchases. And the wonderful thing about this is that you can turn it off and turn it on. We have a lot of schools that only allow student purchasing through the app and through the web portal on Fridays. Okay, so that's another thing that your school could do. So we just want to make sure that you're very comfortable with knowing how to turn on and off the student purchasing, as well as being able to show other people with settings privileges how to do that too.
And I just want to give a quick shout out to when you make these changes with student purchasing or anything in that options, don't forget to click that save button. That's down in the right-hand corner. So don't forget, whenever you turn it off or turn it on or anything else there, click that save so that it puts those actions right into the system.
Absolutely. Anna knows I always forget to click save. Look, I even forgot almost to mention it. So yeah, so we want to make sure that you do know also that we wanted to kind of give you let you see what it looks like from the student aspect. So that's what they see. All the stores that they have access to, if they click on the button that says stores, all those stores come in a drop down, and then they can choose the store that they want to shop from. And we want to make sure that you do know that they don't just automatically get that. Someone is going to have to redeem and approve those items. You can also deny them. And we can show you how to do that live in the system a little later. But we do want to actually talk a little bit more about kind of some updates we have regarding redeeming those items and approving those items. So here it is. This is that redeeming 2.0 and some of the changes that we have currently with your ability to approve and redeem items. So basically the way that it goes is when a student does make a purchase from the student app or the student web portal, it's then going to be put in a redeem queue. And in that queue, you're going to be able to approve several items at a time. And that's something that's new. You don't have to go one by one. You can have them all right there, ready to select all and to approve them. You can also deny them if you don't think it's an appropriate item or whatever. Now, along with the redeeming, once you approve it, you then can decide, do you want to redeem it now or do you want to redeem it later? Okay. And so you can also click on the redeem purchases after you've approved them, and you're then able to redeem some now, or you can still save them to redeem later. So you do have a lot of options when it comes to approving the items multiple at a time, as well as redeeming now or later multiple items at a time. So we want to make sure you know about that. That was a kind of a new piece that came along with our latest release 8.1. And we want to make sure that you're comfortable with it so that you can also show your staff and they can be comfortable with it too.
I'm sorry, India, maybe do you want to talk about those specific slides? I had to fix them. They were laying on top of each other.
Sure. Okay.
Just kind of what the difference is between those three.
Absolutely. So the way that you go, and thank you for fixing that, Anna, the way that you're going to go in and do that, and we can show you all this live in the system, particularly if we have time, and it looks like we will. That's great. You're going to click on stores. You're going to click on redeem, which is that little cart with the check mark in it. And then once you do that, you have these options of either approving purchases or redeeming purchases. You're of course first going to want to approve them. So you click on approve purchases. And the great thing is if you click on show all students, it's going to give you several of those items that need to be approved at one time. Then you can click on select all if you want to just go ahead and approve all of those items. And then if not, you can just click select next to the ones that you want to approve at that time. But then you also will need to decide if those particular items need to be redeemed now or redeemed later. And then once you've done that, you're going to click on the approve button. Once you approve those items, it's a natural next step to go ahead and redeem them. So you're going to then click on the redeem purchases. You go through that same process of clicking on show all students so you can see all of the students that need their items redeemed. And then you can select a few, or you can click on the select all button, and then you can redeem each of those items for those students in that moment. So this is kind of where all those that weren't redeemed now can now be redeemed because they were chosen as redeemed later previously. So we just want to make sure you know that you have plenty of options when it comes to approving and redeeming items, and that you don't have to do them one at a time, at a time, at a time. You can click that select all and get a whole bunch done in just a few clicks.
Okay, so our next feature that we'd like to talk to you about is our SEL feature. And just like we were saying earlier, when you kind of split this up into chunks, that redeem queue that India was just talking about is a big chunk, especially when you turn on student purchasing. So this next feature with SEL is also a huge piece as well. So thinking about how this will work with your school or how this will work with your district, if you're implementing a specific SEL curriculum, making it tie in with that. This feature is going to default into the off position. And our suggestion would always be to do the training first and then to go into the system and to activate it, so that then all of those options are going to be visible to your staff members. Sometimes if you activate it beforehand, it might cause a lot of confusion before you do the actual training, because there are kind of steps that go along with it. So we're going to lead you through this part. Now, we have talked about SEL before, but this is a really great way. We try to really streamline this and make sure that when you're training your staff with this, you have these screenshots that you really need to do that effectively. So the first thing that we have here are a couple of trainer slides for you. So you know on the back side really what that looks like. I'm turning on those SEL Check settings. And our SEL Check has two sides to it really. There's one part that your staff can do an SEL check for students. And then the other part is where students can do a self-SEL check. So that's another thing to consider, is how you're going to roll that out, whether your staff is going to start that first. And that would be our suggestion, is to do that first, and also do a pilot group with that as well, because sometimes if you do your entire school, you might have a lot more bugs to work out and kind of kinks in how you're going to make that work for your school. So a small group always has worked really well for a lot of schools that we have received feedback with the SEL feature. So here you can see up in this slide here, what we've done is we have gone to that options on the very first page, all the way down on the left-hand side, gone to options, and those that have admin rights will be able to see this. So then when we come here to this SEL check, the one icon that has the heart with the check in it, you'll see that every time we are going to do anything with SEL, that same icon, then you can see with this check here, this is how you're going to activate it to turn it on. Then once you click that check mark there, then it will open up the options that go along with that. So it will kind of drop down those options that you'll see listed here. And so all those things that you can do to customize this for your school. So looking at what are the different statuses that you can have for those social emotional checks, how you like them organized, whether they're high, medium, low risk, or no risk. And then the coordinating colors that go with that. If you decide to do emojis that match that, that option is there. If you just want to do colors, that option is also there. And then all of the aligning visible emotions and the look and listen fors. Again, these parts here are all text boxes that can be edited, and you can update those to exactly what you need, because in these two, this is what will provide this SEL guide for all your staff members, and it really helps to maintain that consistency across your campus and across your school. So if you go down then to the next part, the student at SEL check, if you turn that on, and with this check mark right here that says allow students to submit SEL checks, then the rest of these options will then open up for you. And these will allow you the number of student SEL checks through the day, what time limit you want to go between for those different SEL checks to occur. And then you can see exactly how it's going to appear to students. Do you want it to say, how do you feel? On this icon right here, this will be on the student app. If you want to have it say something else, what's happening today, you can change that wording in there. So the other options here are on your SEL check notifications, because we always want to know with students what's going on with them, especially when they check in on that high level. And so, and who can see that? So do you want all staff members to be able to see that, or only particular members of an SEL staff? And then you can add those members here with this green button that says add staff to allow specific team members to see that. If you select an SEL team lead, you can see there's a little question mark there, and that always gives you additional information. But your SEL team lead might be your counselor, it might be a social worker, it might be a specific teacher on campus, but they're going to also have options to get in and change these settings that are here, and they have more visible rights when it comes to SEL. So that's a big decision to make there. And then it will continue then if you decide to check these de-escalation strategies, then the rest of these options will again open up for you here. And that would give the students the options when they check in on a medium or a high risk, that these de-escalation strategies will come up. And again, these are all things that can be changed and updated, because we know what will work for a school that is a kindergarten through a fourth grade school is going to be very different than if you're in a high school. So you can label all those different de-escalation strategies and how they appear. You can even change the pictures, the descriptions that go along with that. So lots of things to edit and change here. And again, this is just on your side. This is not, these slides we would not share with teachers just because they don't have the ability to make all those changes and change in all those settings, if that makes sense. So let me go on to the next one. What we would share with staff is, are there any questions real fast before I move from this part? Because this is a pretty intense part with the settings.
Now, I like the de-escalation strategies. Can you repeat it? How did we teach those? Can you?
Sure. With these de-escalation strategies, that would be a great place, just like when you teach your expectations that you were very specific when you roll out your PBIS. When you talk about this part with your social emotional learning, I would do very specific instruction with students about what those de-escalation strategies look like and how those are supposed to be done. We were really careful too when we checked some examples that were in there. You know, some schools would allow students to, let's say, take a break, but we know that what does that look like in different schools may look very different. So doing a lot of coaching and a lot of kind of examples and non-examples, I would definitely do with students when you're teaching them what those de-escalation strategies look like. And also the pictures that you choose also can be indicative of what your expectations are, and as well as the descriptions that are there.
So just to clarify, we're able to enter our own de-escalation strategies,
Yes,
or is there
everything.
preset? Okay, okay.
Yes, everything can be updated. Now this shows just a little bit. You can see here for this 4 square breathing is the title. And then you can see it has a couple of steps listed underneath there, like 1, 2, 3. And so you can change all of that.
Where are the steps? I apologize. I don't see those.
I'm sorry. Let me come over here. And it's right here at the bottom of my screen, just cut off a little bit. But it is in the settings. Once you open this up, you can edit this with this button right here, 4 square breathing, and then it will allow you to change any of these text boxes over here on the right-hand side.
Nice. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we really wanted to provide a lot of different ways that you can customize this to fit with your school's needs, the age level of your students, your staff needs as well. So there's lots of ways that you can get in there and really make it your own. Okay. Oh, someone else. Yes, ma'am.
So are we gonna have this video access to this after our meeting?
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
a little late. I apologize.
That's okay. Yes, you'll get an email with the recording from this session.
Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. And then you will also get a copy of this PowerPoint that you can use with your staff members, and you can make it your own.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Yes, thank you, Ms. Guerra. We are really happy with those de-escalation strategies. We feel like that's really our goal, of course, is to help our students get back to that calm zone. And so we're hoping that that really helps them. So those appear when they check in on medium or high. Anything that you deem medium or high. Okay. All right, so the next couple of slides are the slides that you would use with your staff members when you train them on SEL. So this first one is for staff members when the staff member is going to be doing SEL checks for the student. And so staff members can check students in virtually, or if they're working with your students in person in that brick and mortar setting, they can also check in with them there. And so that very first screen, that reward screen that comes up, if you search to student name, that information is going to come up for the student. So you can see what their last SEL check was, and then the date and the time that that was done. So that kind of gives you an idea, was that 5 minutes ago or was that 2 days ago? And what that actually was as far as that student goes. So then that also gives you the option that you can click right here on that SEL check, and you can update their social emotional status right at that screen. However, we know that for most teachers, they aren't going to be using that reward screen as much. They're really going to be in the groups page most of the day. And so when they're working with their students in that groups page, when you turn on the SEL checks, you can see this icon, again, the heart with the check in it is going to come up. So your staff members will see that, and that will allow them to check in a student. So they could select an individual student, or they could select multiple students to do their SEL check. And so it's going to bring up the options that you see here, and you can see what the different statuses are. Again, we have 3 as an example that default in our system, but I think India, we have 5. I believe they can have up to 5, yes, because we know, especially as students get older, their emotions get more complex, and so you can add more. So once you select one of those different statuses, you can also add a comment as a staff member. And of course, that is going to be recorded in our system. So especially if somebody checks in on the high level or maybe this medium level, that might be a suggestion that you give to your staff, is just providing a little bit of extra information so that it helps that next staff member that works with that student. And then you click submit. It'll be recorded in the system. And then for that student, it's going to be visible in the student dashboard. So each student, and behind the scenes, it's going to be collected in our system. And then in the student dashboard, when you click on a student name, you'll be able to see what their different SEL checks were. So I can see for this student, even though their last SEL check was anger, I can see the majority of them are calm, but we have some issues here that we might want to address, interventions that we can plan for as well. So that's a really great way to be able to utilize that data for specific students.
Is this like a weekly report? Is that a daily report? Is this something that the teachers are going to be using, or I, as a school counselor, will be using?
This student dashboard there are different visibilities with it that you can set up on the back side. Who sees this? Is it going to be all staff or just staff members that have that student assigned to them in a group? If you're a counselor, then you would probably want to make sure that your settings are set to the admin level so that you can see all students. But it is a really great piece of information, especially even for classroom teachers, so that they can get an idea about those individual students. And then that student dashboard is also something great to take to parent meetings, to be able to share with them about how their student is doing. However, we will tell you that the SEL data that is going to be collected by our system is not visible to parents, because we know sometimes the information that student tells us at school has to do with things at home. And so we don't want to cause that conflict between home and school. So right now it's just visible to staff members. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at is the student SelfSEL check. And so we're going to show you a quick video here of what that looks like in the student web portal or the student app. And so the student can add a comment only if they're on high risk, because if something's going on, sometimes we know students might be able to type something in there they may not tell us face to face. And so that is going to be a great option. And then you'll see those de-escalation strategies appear for the students. And then when a student checks in on that high level, then that notification can be sent to all staff members that have that student, or like we said, just to specific members that you decide for your SEL staff. So like we said, that just might be your counselor, it might be your social worker, only your admin. You can make that decision on who receives those notifications, but the notifications are going to come to you in 3 different ways. So they're going to come to you in an email. They're going to come to you if you have the staff app, it's going to appear there. And it's also going to come in a push notification on your phone, because we really want you to be able to know when those students check in on high, be aware of that, because we know some people are phone people, some people are email people, and so some people are kind of a mixture of both. So you're going to get all of those notifications so that our students don't fall through the cracks, and we really know when they check in on that highest level. So I'm going to play that video for you and kind of point a couple things out. So this is in that student app. So you can see there's that heart. And then when the student selects that, they have those options that come up and they can select that. And you can see it says stressed there. And if they go back, they can change it if they like. Then they can confirm that. And then you can see here the de-escalation strategies, and the student can scroll through those 3 different strategies that are available to them and hit that next button. If they try to go back in and immediately change that SEL status, you can see it'll kind of gray out that option for them and say you have to wait 15 minutes. So that there's a kind of a time break between those. However, a staff member's SEL check that they do will then, if they check the student in again, then that will be their next most updated updated status, if that makes sense. So if Jordan checks in on stressed, that medium level, but then when he gets to my class, he's doing much better. He's back in that calm zone, the green zone. So then when I check him in, then that green calm level is going to be his most updated status. So that's a little preview of the student SEL check on what it looks like for from the student side. So your question is, when a staff member does an SEL check, is that visible to the student? No. That SEL check that the staff member is not visible to the student. They can only see their status history. So only the ones that they have entered are they able to view. That's an excellent question. Thank you for asking that. Okay, so you can see this is a big chunk to SEL. So we would suggest when you do decide to turn this on, just make this a training unto itself before you do something else, because it does take a lot. And this is again why we really suggest piloting it with a small group or a grade level or a department, so that you can work this out with them and kind of understand maybe more training that needs to happen perhaps with your staff members and your students, so that you can kind of put out those fires with a small group instead of maybe an entire school. Okay, all right, India, I'm going to kick it over to you with Check-in, Checkout, another one of our favorite features.
Absolutely. And just to reiterate what Anna said, you know, we are giving it all to you today, but these are such great features, yet they can be overwhelming on their own. So we definitely want to make sure that when you are doing these, you know, trainings with your staff, just do one training just for Check-in, Checkout, just one for SEL, you know, probably on different days, and then definitely making sure that that feature is turned on so that the staff members can have practice in actually doing whatever it is that you're showing them how to do. So, and we are going to show you how each of those items can be turned on or turned off. If you don't have SEL turned on, that's not going to show on the main menu for your staff. If you don't have Check-in, Checkout active in the settings, it's not even going to show to your staff members. But we definitely want you to be prepared that whenever you feel like this is a feature that your school is ready for and that they want to use, you know exactly how to set it up and then also set your staff up for success. So as Anna said, Check-in, Checkout is one of our tier 2 feature options that you have. Most of what we do with PBIS Rewards is tier 1. It's really for school-wide, it's for every student. Yet you do have those students that need a little more. Well, the Check-in, Check-out feature may be exactly what they need to be set up for success as well. So let's look at a little bit of how you can do that. The first thing is you want to identify who your Check-in, Check-out coaches are going to be. And that Check-in, Check-out coach will have the opportunity to get into the settings and make all the changes that need to be made in order to set up the system. The first thing they're going to do is click on settings from the main menu and then click on the circle with the check mark in it. That's the symbol for the Check-in, Check-out. And so they will click on Check-in, Check-out options. The first thing they'll want to do is make sure that active is selected if you want to be able to use Check-in, Check-out within the system. You then also can decide how many goals that you want to be able to have from a list that your staff can choose from, okay, or that the coaches will choose from to set up the plans. Maybe you just want 4 on your list, but you can choose several options, I believe up to maybe like 9 or 10. And then you need to decide what point system your school is going to use for the teacher check-ins. Are they going to do 1, 2, 3 or 0, 1, 2? We suggest that schools use 1, 2, 3 because students should at least get a point for at least trying to be on a plan. But you choose whatever is best for your school. Then you can go in and decide which of your goal options you want to be active for coaches to choose for students' plans, okay? So you can make them active or inactive. You can edit them. You can make them be required, which means that all students on a check-in, check-out plan would have to have that particular goal on their plan. But you can do a lot of options. Maybe you don't need one on your selection list anymore. You can delete it. So you have lots of options. And the great thing is we always have help along the way in the system. So right on the right-hand side, you can see where it says check-in, check-out help. And it gives you a lot of information to really help your coach or coaches be able to set up things in the system to go the way you need it to go for your school. Now, if you scroll down further on, all this is happening on the web portal for the staff. If you scroll down more, you're then going to see where it says check-in, check-out coaches. And this is where you select who on your staff is going to have the ability to be a check-in, check-out coach, okay? Now, you see that star that's right there next to one of the users? That means that they're a primary coach. If you're not sure what that means, you can click on that button with this question mark, and it can give you information about what a primary coach is able to do. But basically, a primary coach is one that can go in and change all these settings we're talking about. You can also have those coaches be active or inactive, but you can create your list of who has the ability to be coaches right here in that settings part of the check-in, check-out options. And so once you have it all set up and ready to go, anyone that has been designated as an active check-in, check-out coach will now have a button that says check-in, check-out coach, okay? And then what they can do is they can click on that button, and then it takes them to the screen where they can actually start setting up new plans for students. It also takes you to that same screen where you'll be able to check in students in the morning and check them in the afternoon, or however the frequency is that you set up for the check-in, check-out plan for that particular student, okay? And so we just want to say that this is such a great feature because if you've been using check-in, check-out for an intervention, you maybe were like me and Anna, we had to use a piece of paper. I mean, it flew out the bus window, the dog ate it, you know, whatever. It was just very hard to keep up with. The great thing is now utilizing check-in, check-out with this system, it's all digital. So there's no way that those particular things can happen, and we can have all this information, and it's really easy to check in and check out as a coach for each of the students. Now, if you have check-in, check-out turned on or active in the system, now every staff member will see the check-in, check-out teacher button, okay? So what happens is when they have a student that is on a check-in, check-out plan, they will get a notification, a number and an orange circle that will tell them when there's a student in one of their classes or groups that they need to do a check-in for. So what they would do is click on the check-in, check-out teacher button from the main menu, and then they could type in the student's name that they need to do the check-in, check-out for, or they could click on a group and it gives them a drop-down arrow of all the students in that particular class or group that need to have that teacher do a check-in for them, okay? And so once they click on that, they're brought to this screen where they can then just put the points, okay? If the student was, you know, well, he's a little bit late, I'm gonna give him a 2, but wow, he talked so appropriately to the adults today, I'm gonna give him a 3. You also have an option to put any comments that you want. There's also reminders of what each of those number points mean, and then you simply click submit. Oh my goodness, you didn't even have to find a pencil to write with. You didn't have to have the kid find the paper that they lose every day. You can do it right here within the system, and not only within the web portal, you can also do it with the staff app. Super easy.
Okay, any questions about check-in or check-out before we move on to reports and data? Okay, awesome. All right, no, so we know for some people, data is their love language. We know for some people, data is a 4-letter word they do not enjoy. So we just wanted to really give you some options on where to find that data and those reports for staff members, and also how you can share that out with those members of your staff. So we're going to first look at, for your regular staff members, this is really what their data and reports page is going to look like, excuse me. So they have a icon that is going to say My Reports on that left-hand menu. And once they click on that, then it's going to bring up information that is just going to be related to those students that they have assigned to them. So they're only going to be able to see data about those students. Whereas if you have admin privileges, then your data and reports are going to be much deeper. It's going to be school-wide, and your ability to drill down with different types of reports is going to look very different. So you can see for the teacher, then we are going to look at their daily point goal to see how they are doing themselves as far as giving out those points every day. And then looking at their points by expectation. If you are using our system, our advanced referral system, then also looking at those different major discipline referrals by problem behaviors. And then you can see there are additional reports listed down here at the bottom. So there are some reports that are going to be associated with points. You can see all of those have a star associated with them. Some that are going to go with our referrals if you're using our advanced referral system. And then they also have some that are going to be tied to all of the redeeming reports that they have for their store and the items that are purchased, that kind of thing. So it's going to be more limited. However, it's still going to be insightful as far as how their points and how their redeeming efforts are being utilized in different ways. So this is a great way for them to be able to know how they're doing for themselves. So that is just a real quick snapshot of that. And it really will allow teachers to explore and look at different ways that they can utilize those reports. So what we thought we'd do is get into the system and kind of show you a couple of things. But what we thought we would do today is take a poll and see, what are you the most interested in seeing? And let's kind of prioritize that in our system so that we can show you those things before we look at other stuff and really show you what you're interested in. So India is going to help us with the poll because she worked on that. So I'm going to let you do that part, India.
All right, well, they should be able to see it right now. So far, we've had 3 people that have voted and said they would love to see the redeem queue and student purchasing. We also have 1 person that would like to see the check-in, check-out feature. But right now, it looks like that redeem queue and student purchasing is ahead of the game with 4 people that want to see that. So we do want to make sure we're going to take a few more moments to make sure everyone has an opportunity to vote. So far, only 5 out of the 10 folks have been able to do that. But it does look like, Anna, that redeem queue and student purchasing is way ahead of the game.
Okay. All right, great. So I'm going to stop sharing this.
Okay, I'm going to end the polling here.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to share those results with you guys so you can see that. Okay, so you can see that definitely the redeem queue and student purchasing is ahead of the game. And so Sarah, if you're here with us, when we get done showing that live in the system, we want you to definitely share some of your testimony about just redeeming student items in a digital learning setting, okay?
Definitely. At 20 after, I need to close my breakout rooms and say goodbye to the 4th graders, but I'll be here for.
That's great. Thank you so much, Sarah. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all. And I want to make sure everyone can see that. So if you could go ahead and give me a thumbs up physically with your camera, okay? Or you can just do it with the reaction buttons. That's great. But I want to go ahead and make sure that you all can see this screen. So we're going to go ahead and show you this redeeming thing. So first, let's go in and show how you can make your store private or public. So if you go up here to stores, on the main menu. And then here's your My Store. So this is your store. Your school may also have a store, but you see here, Kara's made her store public, right? So we're going to show you how you can make your store public as well. That now means that any student in the entire school would be able to shop from your store, okay? And any staff member can actually help with the, selling items to students from your store. So we definitely want to show you how that looks, okay? Oh, no worries, yes. Mr. Melda, we understand if you have to leave, you'll definitely get this recording though if you did register, okay? So let's go ahead and click on My Store. And I apologize, it seems like my computer's really thinking today, so I apologize for the speed of it. So you can see here, here's my store. And then if I click on Edit Store, okay, I have the option up here to make it public or private. Once again, we love to give you help along the way. So if you click on the question mark here, it tells you what that means. You can choose to keep your store private so that only you can sell from it, or choose public to allow any other staff member to sell items from your store. And now with the latest release, that any student will be able to shop from your store as well. So we're gonna make our store public now, okay? And we're gonna go ahead now and look at from a student aspect of how they can make purchasing. We may want to make sure student purchasing is on though. So you can go down to settings if you have those admin privileges. And then you want to go to options as soon as the next menu opens up. I tell you, I'm so sorry. My little computer is thinking today, taking its time. So we want to go here to options. And then these are all those different options Anna was telling you about earlier. But if you go over here to where student purchases is, here's that where you can allow it, or you can say don't allow student purchases. And you can also specify if you want them just to be able to purchase items from the store, get into raffles, or enter events. So we have it ready to go. So we're going to go ahead now and take a look here at a student. This is Remy Blake, a 7th grade student. You can see with this authorized access that she has, she can has her balance here. She can see what it is, how many points she earned today. This is where Ms. Royer, where she's going to do that check-in from the student web portal. But this is also, see this button here with stores? So you could click here, and here's the stores, and you can see where India's store is public. So even though Remy is not a student of mine, Remy does have the ability to shop from my store, okay? So we're going to go ahead and click on My Store because that's the one she's going to shop from today. Remy decided that she wants a pencil because she wants to be, ready for class. So click on Buy, and then she would click on Yes, she wants to purchase it. And then she also wants to get a high five because she really enjoys, just connecting with me. So we're going to click Buy for high five and purchase. Okay. And since we have a little bit of time, Anna, what I may do too is I'm going to go back here to this home button, and I'm just going to show you real fast the student check-in since we're already here. So like we said, the student would start right here with the How do you feel button, that heart with the check mark in it. They would click on that. Here's all those statuses that your school has chosen, or you can use the ones default that are already in there from us. The student may say, I'm feeling stressed. Read this and say, I'm not quite sure. Click on No and look at them again and say, yeah, you know what? I'm feeling actually more angry about it. So they could click on angry. And remember, anything that you say is a high risk, students do have the option of giving a comment. So they can click on include comment. They can say, I'm angry because I missed the bus today, and click on yes. So now here are those strategies for de-escalation that we talked about. The students already will see the ones we have default if you have that turned on, but you can also, like Anna said, make your own. So they can go through these and click next to be able to see all the different default ones we have in there, whichever ones you choose to put in there. They can say, oh, I'm going to talk to an adult. They can close out here or here, and then they're done. They can see their status updates here, but then once again, like Anna said, there's that grayed out button right there. If they try to click it, it's telling them that they have to wait 15 minutes to do another check, okay? So while we're in there, I thought it'd be really fast to show you how students can do a check-in themselves from their particular web portal. But let's now go back here to my page as a staff member, and let's look at the new updates with that redeeming and approving, okay? So now that the student has done some purchasing, what I would have to do is go back here to stores, okay? And I would go to my store. And then like Anna told us, we have this redeem button up here we were talking about earlier. And this is where you would click to be able to do that approving or that redeeming. So we're gonna first approve. And like we said, we wanna show all students so we can see every student that has items that need to be approved. So right now, just Remy does from my store. So I can decide right now to select all of them, and I'm gonna approve all of them at the same time, or I could just do them one at a time. I'm gonna do all of them. And I'm gonna actually, she wants to redeem the pencil now, but she wants to redeem the high five later. She doesn't want to get that now. She wants to get that later. So now that I have all the ones selected that I want to approve, I'm going to click on approve selected. Am I sure? Yep, I'm sure. And so now all of those items have been approved. But as we know, there was one that still needed to be redeemed because we chose redeem later. So now we're going to go to the redeem purchases. And then we're going to click on show all students. We're going to see all the students that have items that still need to be redeemed. Wow, look at all these. Woo, lots of pencils. My kids like to write. But anyway, you can see right here that, you know, there's that one that Remy bought, that high five that she wanted to redeem later. So now what I could do, I could just choose certain students' items that I wanted to redeem. Or once again, I could do that easy select all. Look at all these that I can do at one time. And then I simply click on redeem the selected. Want to do it? Yeah. So that's so much easier than one at a time having to approve and redeem the students, you know, things that they've purchased. So it really makes things a lot easier. Yes, ma'am.
How are they collecting the items?
Well, and that's a great lead in for Ms. Sarah to share how she's doing it, because a lot of schools do it different. A lot of schools have it to where they come on a certain day and collect them, you know, or the students, the teacher might pass those items out on a certain day of the week. It's really up to the teacher or to the actual school, if it's the school-wide store, how they want to handle that. And actually, Sarah's school is all virtual at this time, and she has a fantastic way that they've been able to get the items to their students even while they're learning digitally. So Sarah, do you mind sharing that?
Not at all. So as she said, we are 100% virtual right now. And we used to have a little store in person. We had the paper tickets. It was all like that. And we switched over to the PBIS app in December. So no, we haven't had it very long. And I'm thinking we have 800 students and all of this stuff that they're going to be purchasing. How are we going to do this? And so what ended up happening, evolved a little bit, still evolving a little, is we have the store set up to where as we list the items, everything is sequential, and we do not use the PBIS item number. We actually write item number and then we go sequentially as we list it. So how India had like puzzle and high five, it would be like item number 078 high five. And then we ran labels. So I call it the PBIS Azon Fulfillment Warehouse. Everything is just in order and it's in its own little tub. And then it all has the label on it. And then what we do is once a month, we close the store. Granted, only since December, we did one. We're about to do our second, but it worked great the first time. And so we run the report. There's a YouTube video that taught me how to make some magic happen with Excel, to where I have the labels alphabetized by grade level. We have 6 grade levels, like 40 teachers. So it's alphabetized by grade level, grouped by teacher. We take the label, it lists the kid's name, the date that they're supposed to be picking it up, because not all of them are going to come in. how many total items they have, and what all of the items are. So we take the label, we put it on a gallon Ziploc. All of them are a gallon Ziploc, doesn't matter what the item is. It's all in order. Our aides and I and the counselor, we just go in order, start filling them. We filled 200 orders in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then this was one of those things that was revised because I was like, we need to do something because that is going to get messy. Like we have little plastic construction hats. We've got all this stuff. I'm like, there's nothing holding it in place. They're like, oh, we'll just put it by grade level in the bin. I'm like, no, we need to do something else. They're like, you're overthinking it. I'm like, okay. And I had to leave at 3 and the kids were coming in. And then by the time I got here the next morning, they had hanging file folders in the bins grouped by teacher to hold the orders together so that as you know, it's fine when you first fill it, but when you've got all the kids coming in to get it, they slip and slide and move all over the place. And then there's the list, which is printed out. They just mark that, you know, the kid came to pick it up. There's your baggie. Good job. Keep going. I decorated the labels. We're the Eagles. So it's got Eagles on it. It says continue to soar, Huron Elementary, soar store. Used Avery for that. And that's what's been working. The only thing that I would recommend, because we have the students who are able to purchase like 24/7. And I told them if you purchase by, it was a Wednesday, if you purchase by Wednesday, you can pick up on Monday, but I didn't completely close the store for student purchases. And so there were little kiddos, we're TK through 5th, that were coming in going, I bought a pencil this morning, can I pick it up? And we're like, no, come back in March. And so this time I'm going to completely close it for student purchases so that there's not that confusion. And then I'm going to turn it back on for student purchases the day after they're able to come in and pick up.
So you're having pickups just once a month. Is that how it's going?
So far, yeah, we have testing that's already starting. We have to do the LPAC test. We have like 600 students to test and our aides are doing that too. And so we were going to try and do twice a month, but with that coming on, and then we haven't even started the CASP state testing. This is just for the EL kids. You know, we don't know if that's going to get waived, hopefully, but yeah, we're only going to have time to do that. And we're going to keep this in place moving forward, even once we move to hybrid and the kids come back, because it's just easier.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's really good.
Yeah, and I'll put my email in there again. I know that Margie has already emailed me. She wants to see the pictures, but go ahead and email me and I'll send you some pictures of how we have it set up.
And you have a classroom. You have a classroom where you have all these the store items, right?
We actually have a corner of the auditorium / connection center / everything else it is right now.
Good.
Yeah, and I've told everyone, like, it took me a while to get it organized and I was in and out and in between meetings and I'd be in there for 30 minutes. It looked like a disaster. And I'm like, don't touch anything. Like, don't touch it. There's a method to the madness. It will come together. Just let me get there. And that's the best thing, like making sure that everything has that item number and it's sequential. That is what saves all the time in the filling the orders.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Sarah. So, and also, like she said, she will put her address again in the chat. So if you'd like to get more information about that, oh, she's on it. It's right there. You can contact Sarah and she can give you more information about how they're truly making redeeming items from their school store work in a distance learning setting.
Oh, one more quick thing. Also,
yes.
We did parent training at night. So that we're TK through 5th. So we've got the littlest of littles. It's a huge grade span. We are also very remote, rural, Central Valley, California, high migrant EL population. We did parent training. It was bilingual. That is really another thing that helped. So
I'm telling you, that email is gold. You better write down Sarah Pruitt's email. In fact, her school, we love what they're doing so much. They've only been using PBIS Rewards about, what, 2 months now, Sarah? And they have just they've just taken off with it and soared. And one of the keys to them doing that is they've taken it one bite at a time. That's how they've handled the beautiful elephant that's called PBIS Rewards. They started first with, letting the staff know how to do it. Then they taught the parents about it. Then they taught the students about it. They started rewarding. Then they started redeeming through the store and finding a way to work for their distance learning setting. They're getting ready to start doing check-in, check-out, but they didn't do it all at one time. They took it one bite at a time. And so definitely contact Sarah. She can give you some great ideas about how to really roll out things with PBIS Rewards for success within your entire community. And so please contact her for that. We're going to go ahead and wrap up today's session so you can get on with your day. But we definitely want to thank you so much for being here and leave you with a few more tidbits. One of them in particular is right within the system. There's 2 things we want you to be aware of. When you're in the staff web portal, if you don't remember how to do something, click on the Show Me How button, okay? Right there at the bottom, there is a Show Me How button. If you click on that, there's a search bar. You click in whatever you want the system to show you how to do, and it will show you how to do it step by step. There's videos you can watch for some of them. It has you actually do the steps, so you're not just watching something, you're actually doing it and learning it. Yes, one of my favorite ones too, Sarah. So make sure that you do click on that Show Me How if you forget how to do something within the system. And the other button everybody needs to know is the Help button. Help me, please. If you don't remember how to do check-in, check-out, you don't remember how to put in the de-escalation strategies, click on that Help button. It takes you directly to our support page where you can get a plethora of things to help you along the way. And in fact, some of those things do include a live chats. What else does it include, Anna? You've got videos,
Our guides, and then our phone number and our email. So if you want us, we are there. However you want to communicate with us. Carrier pigeon, I think, is the only one we have not had on our website, but we have everything else.
Absolutely. So please click on that Help button if you do need any help regarding the system. And in fact, I think the next slide even shows you what news and notes. Okay. I love this part. We also have not only news and notes in the system, but if you do click on that Help button, guess what? On the support page, you also can see more news and notes, okay? So right there at the top where it says news, you could actually click on news and see what's the latest news, what's the latest releases and whatnot with PBIS Rewards. But you can also, like we said, click on guides to see articles on how to do stuff, click on videos on how to be able to do different videos. And if you click on learn, you can go to our Explorer series where you can go through a certain order of the guides and actually be acknowledged with professional development points for actually reading through those guides. So we want to make sure that you're aware of that, as well as if you click in the lower right-hand corner, you can start a live chat with one of our super support members. That's a picture of Jill right there, one of the support team members. So you can actually start a live chat. A lot of times you're teaching. You can't call somebody and talk to them while you're teaching, but while your students are working independently, you can start a live chat with Jill or another one of our support team members and get all the answers that you need in real time. And thank you, Sarah. She said that our PBIS team is the most responsive team she's ever seen, especially, I'm telling you, our support team, they are phenomenal. And we also want to make sure that you all do know that we do have some other professional development opportunities coming up if you want to go deeper, okay? Today, like we said, we're just giving you this template to use to just show some additional features to your staff. But if you want to learn a lot more about PBIS and a lot more about PBIS Rewards, please consider either going to our Voyage or our Expedition. Voyage is all asynchronous. It's all about just going through some modules at your own time and your own pace with videos and little check-in questions. And you have 14 days to do it once you start. It's very affordable at $25 per person. So if you kind of want to go deeper at your own pace, consider doing the voyage. Yet if you really want to go deep, you want to have more time with us, we'd love to have more time with you. Please consider doing our expedition. It also has modules that you do on your own at your own pace, but it also is bookmarked with a live Zoom in the morning and a live Zoom in the afternoon. So you will start off with us live in a Zoom, very similar to this. We then let you go, and if you have time, you can go ahead and work on the modules. And then at later on that evening, we'll have another Zoom where we'll get together live again to do a wrap up and kind of talk about things. It's very interactive. You'll be meeting with people from other schools, sharing ideas like Sarah shared with us today. It's just very, I mean, it's worth the $95. And the great thing is we want to see you so much at our next one, April 6th through the 8th. We're going to give you a buy one, get one free option. So instead of 95 for one, you got 95 for two, because we want to see you and a coworker so much in April. So please consider joining our expedition. We would love to see you.
And then our Facebook user group, if you're not a member of that, we would love to see you there. That is where we have lots of interaction with our customers. We take ideas to our Facebook user group and say, what do you think about this? Or we roll ideas out to them first and get feedback. And then it's also just a great place to network with other PBIS Rewards customers and get ideas from them. So if you want to click the link in the chat, or you can scan that QR code there and it'll take you right to our Facebook user group. We'd love for you to join us there. And then all the resources from today can be found on the bit.ly that I'm putting here in the chat, or you can scan that again with your phone and take that PowerPoint and you can download that and make it your own so that you can train your staff members and really take your PBIS Rewards experience to the next level, because we know you guys are experts, and these features are that deeper dive, but it really takes it to a whole different level when you are doing work with those features that we talked about today. So we are looking forward to you utilizing that. It not only has the resources from today, but all the other trainings that we've done recently can also be found there. So if you want some resources on working with PBIS Rewards virtually, there's things like that. You have things just on redeeming, just on rewarding. So lots and lots of resources, recordings. It's a plethora of things. Please don't get lost in it, but everything is listed for you there. And finally, of course, we just want to say thank you so much for being here today, sharing your ideas. Thank you to everyone that shared ideas, especially Sarah, with all your great things that you're doing out at Huron, and then everybody that's just open to new ideas and how you can really make PBIS Rewards work for your school and your district. We are here to help you. Indy and I, that is our direct email address. So please feel free to email us at any time. We are here to help you. But we just appreciate you being here today and taking the time and really being that messenger for your school to take this information back and relaying that so that it really has a huge impact, not only on your staff, but especially on your students and the families that are in your community. So thank you so much for just being that advocate for PBIS. So if there's any questions, please stick around. Indy and I are happy to help. But if not, have a wonderful day, and we look forward to seeing you in more trainings and just connecting with us personally. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a lovely day.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to give us a little outgoing music.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Whose playlists do you guys use, and can you share them with me?
Yes, I can.
Absolutely. In fact, we got two of them we'll put in the chat. Anna, you probably can get them faster than me. But we have one that we actually use for expedition called Space Jams. we're going to give that to you all because you all have been just fantastic. And there's another one we have that to go along with our SEL check-in feature. That's all like kind of feeling songs, you know, like Emotions by Mariah Carey and, you know, things like that. So we'll give you both of those links in the chat.
Nice, thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. Yes, Ms. Rowe had asked about the materials being emailed. Yes, if you registered for today's training, the recording, as well as the PowerPoint template that we use will all be emailed to you. We also will have this information on that bit.ly resource link that we sent to you. You can also see the PowerPoint will be there. Other PowerPoints from other types of trainings that we've done will all be at that bit.ly resource link. But yes, you will specifically get the items from today emailed to you. No, thank you so much.